Saw dudes, my latest build video was for Volt Prime, and it was a massive success. Thank you guys for the support. Since his build is now on the channel, I decided to give him a stress test through level cap. Volt is known for being a super well-rounded Warframe, so putting him through the ropes was a ton of fun. I do want to make it clear that the level 5000 and level 9999 footage are from a separate run, but do use the same builds. With that out of the way, let's get started. The Volt Prime build is the same general build present in the video I made a while back. I did subsume Nourish over Shock because it helps with energy economy issues that crop up in higher levels. However, you should choose Roar or an armor strip ability if you don't need it or want it. The biggest difference with this build is the lack of overextended, which is replaced with Augured Reach. The hit to ability strength was a deal breaker for me because it limited the usefulness of speed. Arcane Energize isn't mandatory, but is helpful. If you are confident you don't need it, just use Molt Efficiency or a damage boosting Arcane. Molt Augmented, on the other hand, is highly suggested. It buffs Nourish, Speed, and Discharge. Archon Shard choices are fairly flexible. I have 4 Tauforge Crimson Shards, 3 for ability strength, and 1 for duration. It's overkill, but it's Warframe, so who really cares? The final slot is taken by an Amber Shard for casting speed, something I highly recommend using for quality of life. The primary slot was taken up by Cedo. It's a standard build, but I should have modded it for something besides a viral. I didn't end up doing that because of the extra Forma investment, but if you have the chance to do so, please do. Also, if you want to use Vigilante supplies in the Exile slot, go for it. It will provide slightly higher DPS and ammo mutation. In the secondary slot, I use the Laetum, simply due to its insanely high damage. I use Marksman's Hand, Lethal Rearmament, Kaput Mortem, and Overwhelming Attrition as my evolutions. Laetum works wonders with Volt, thanks to being crit-based and having its critical multiplier doubled by Electric Shield. The 5.8 critical multiplier becomes 11.6, which is crazy. On top of that, the base damage is nothing to scoff at, so it melts all units regardless of their armor stat, even at level cap. I would highly recommend using Corrosive to get the armor damage bonus, or even Emerald Shards if you really want to lean into it. The melee weapon I chose to use is Vastilok, which acted as my armor shredding tool. Even with that in mind though, I chose to mod it out for stupid high damage and Bullet Dance as my stance. This makes it a legitimate threat to enemies in hallways since it has high slash weight and decent status. You don't need to use melee duplicate, but it does speed up the armor shred process for an easier time against Thrax units. Then there's the Panzer build. The viral spreading is nice, but not necessary since we have Nourish. We're really using this cat for Tenacious Bond and Reinforced Bond. Tenacious Bond multiplies our final critical multiplier by 1.2 times, and Reinforced Bond increases our fire rate by 60%. This doesn't seem like much, but it turns our Laetum into a 20mm aircraft minigun. The focus school is Madurai, since we don't need Unairu for the armor strip. It's pretty much used to increase casting speed, ability strength, and insta-delete the Thrax units. You will want to use Contamination Wave at all times to get the most damage out of your amp. If you are having trouble with Thrax later on, which you will because of the incredibly weird pathing, use Void Strike. The amp I used was the standard 147 or Sturgis Brace, Raplac Prism, and Fat Scaffold. You can easily one-shot Thrax with a headshot in lower levels. Past about level 6000, you still can, but you will need to stand behind a Volt Shield for the extra critical damage. The Operator Arcanes I used were Magus Cloud, Magus Lockdown, Eternal Eradicate, and Eternal Onslaught. Alright, now let's talk about the runs now, shall we? First of all, let's establish that Volt, while an amazing Warframe, is not really built to withstand endurance content the same way that other frames might. Take Octavia and Revenant as examples. That being said, he can go just fine, but will need a little extra effort. For one, his weapon choice needs to complement his Electric Shield. Using a weapon with a low crit chance and critical multiplier would be a waste most of the time, since his Electric Shield doubles modded crit damage. It's hard to justify using a weapon that is not crit viable. Also, his abilities fall off pretty hard and pretty fast. Discharge is great for CC and shield gating via Capacitance, but doesn't deal damage without armor strip. At level cap, you can forget about dealing damage with any of his abilities. It will essentially come down to your weapons. All that though, doesn't make him bad. It's just something to consider. With my setup, I was fairly comfortable despite eating dirt a couple of times. Volt can serve as a great support frame. Subsuming Nourish increases energy gains for the whole team, and Speed increases rotation speed as well as melee and reload speed. Electric Shield is useful while rezzing teammates and can help melt Thrax units. Discharge with Capacitance is a godsend for keeping the team alive. I don't recommend using him if you have better options, but I can't say never use him either. I love how he plays and you might too. I hope the runs are interesting, and let me know what you think in the comments. As always, thank you for watching and happy farming. Stay safe.